In the heart of ancient Egypt, under a scorching sun, a story of suffering and hope was being etched into the very stones of the pyramids. For 400 years, the Israelites toiled as slaves, their days filled with grueling labor, their nights with silent prayers. Imagine the scene, massive stone structures rising towards the heavens, built by hands worn and weary. The faces of the people, streaked with sweat and dust, told a tale of exhaustion and sorrow. Yet, in their eyes, a flicker of endurance remained. Even in the midst of their hardship, you could see a family pausing for a fleeting moment, the parents tired, but their gazes holding a sliver of hope, a silent promise to their children that one day things would be different. A young child, face smudged with the dirt of their labor, looks up, their innocent eyes reflecting a quiet, unyielding hope for a brighter future. While the Israelites suffered, Pharaoh sat upon his golden throne, a symbol of absolute power and luxury. His grand palace, with its towering columns and imposing statues, was a world away from the dusty construction sites. Draped in dramatic shadows, he exuded an air of invincibility, the very picture of a classic, unyielding ruler. A closer look at his face revealed a proud and stubborn expression, his golden crown gleaming under the dark, dramatic lighting. He was a man who believed himself to be a god, deaf to the cries of the oppressed. Far from the opulence of the palace, in the vast, quiet wilderness of Midian, a man named Moses lived a simple life as a shepherd. He had once been a prince of Egypt, but his destiny was about to change forever. As he walked alone through the desert, at sunset, his staff in hand, with a warm, peaceful glow. The vast, open landscape was calm, a stark contrast to the turmoil he would soon face, and then he saw it. A bush engulfed in flames, yet miraculously not burning. It glowed with a divine, mystical light, the flames dancing without consuming a single branch. It was a sight that defied all logic, a beacon of supernatural power in the desolate wilderness. Moses approached the burning bush, his heart a mixture of awe and trepidation. The divine light washed us with a soft, ethereal glow. Here, in this sacred moment, he was no longer just a shepherd. He was a man standing on the precipice of a divine calling. His expression was a perfect blend of fear and wonder, his mind struggling to comprehend the miracle before him. God spoke from the bush, commanding Moses to return to Egypt, to stand before Pharaoh and demand the release of his people. With this divine instruction, a new chapter began, not just for Moses, but for an entire nation. Armed with newfound purpose, Moses stood boldly before Pharaoh. The opulent palace, with its marble columns and stoic guards, was the stage for a monumental confrontation. Moses, a humble shepherd with a wooden staff, faced the most powerful man on earth. He raised his staff, a simple act that carried the weight of a divine mandate. Pharaoh, perched high on his throne, looked down at Moses with disdain. The air in the grand hall was thick with tension. Moses delivered God's message, "Let my people go," but Pharaoh's heart was hard. He angrily refused, his fist clenching, dark shadows creeping across his face. His pride would not allow him to yield. The close-up on his eyes revealed a storm of anger, a refusal to bow to any power but his own. This refusal set in motion a series of divine judgments. The mighty Nile tournait au raid. A terrifying darkness fell over the land, a palpable shadow that brought the bustling nation to a standstill. Fear gripped the hearts of the Egyptians as one plague after another demonstrated a power far greater than their Pharaoh-s. Finally, after the 10th and most devastating plague, Pharaoh's will was broken. Under the cloak of night, the Israelites made their escape. It was a scene of hurried urgency, families gathering their meager belongings, their feet moving quickly towards an unknown future. They were guided not by maps, but by a miraculous pillar of fire that lit up the dark sky, a warm, glowing beacon of hope. When day broke, the pillar of fire transformed into a pillar of cloud, leading them through the endless desert. The vast expanse of sand, once a symbol of their aimless wandering, now represented the path to freedom. The entire nation, a moving crowd of men, women, and children, followed this divine guide, their long journey just beginning. But their freedom was short-lived. Pharaoh, his heart once again hardened with regret and rage, decided to pursue them. The Egyptian army, a formidable force of chariots and horsemen, charged after the fleeing Israelites. The ground trembled under the pounding hooves and spinning chariot wheels as dust clouds billowed into the sky. The shouts of soldiers filled the air, a terrifying sound of impending doom. The Israelites soon found themselves trapped before the impassable Red Sea. Behind them, the dust clouds of Pharaoh's approaching army grew larger and more menacing. Panic and fear spread through the crowd. Their journey to freedom seemed destined to end in tragedy. In this moment of ultimate crisis, Moses stood firm. He raised his staff towards the sea, and a powerful wind began to blow, whipping his robes around him. A divine energy seemed to glow from him, his face a mask of fierce determination. The light of this divine power reflected in his eyes as he commanded the waters, and then the impossible happened. The Red Sea began to part. The water rose up into two towering walls, revealing a path of dry land where moments before there had been only deep sea. It was a spectacle of awe-inspiring scale, a corridor of salvation glowing with an ethereal blue light. With faith and wonder, the Israelites began their walk through the parted sea. Families moved forward, their fear replaced by amazement. Children looked up at the shimmering walls of water, seeing fish swim as if in a giant aquarium. Light filtered through the translucent walls, creating a magical, dreamlike atmosphere. They were walking on the seabed, surrounded by the very forces of nature that had been held back by a miracle. But the Egyptian army, blinded by their pursuit, followed them into the sea path. The chariots rushed between the towering walls of water, the sky above them darkening ominously. The sense of danger was palpable. Just as the last Israelite set foot on the far shore, Moses once again lifted his staff. With a thunderous roar, the walls of water collapsed. The sea crashed back, down upon the Egyptian army, a massive, powerful climax to the dramatic chase. The turbulent waters swallowed the chariots, the soldiers, and Pharaoh's pride in one swift, decisive act of divine justice. Safely on the other side, the Israelites watched as the sea returned to its calm state. The first light of dawn was breaking on the horizon, casting a soft, golden glow upon their faces. Relief, amazement, and overwhelming joy washed over them. There were tears and smiles, hugs and shouts of praise. Moses stood among them, his staff raised not in defiance, but in celebration. The people began to sing and dance, their voices rising in a chorus of gratitude. The long night of slavery was finally over. The sun rose on a new day, illuminating a scene of pure, unadulterated joy. As the camera pulls back, we see the calm, reflective surface of the Red Sea a peaceful monument to the miracle that had just occurred. The Israelites, now a free people, turn and walk toward the open desert, toward a horizon filled with promise and a future of their own making. Their journey was far from over, but they were finally on their way home. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.